You feel me? He had to break into the school because nobody else wanted to let him in. You know what I mean? You also think about it like this. I'm from Texas. I live in Texas. At the same time that was going on, and we seen that family in Buffalo showing a whole bunch of humanity, the Texas governor sent a whole bunch of undocumented citizens to, you feel me? I can't even build what state it is on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Barely dressed, some with just shirts on. So we see that humanity for some people is kind of like, they selective moral outrage. You can use it when you want to, when you ain't got to, you don't want to, you don't use it. The last thing I'll say that's really more good is that this probably the biggest day in Buffalo Bill history. I know they always losing and stuff, so this probably is the biggest day for them to celebrate, to get some wins, because they used to taking them L's. Shout out to the Buffalo Bills and the amazing people in Buffalo, New York. You know what I mean? And shout out to, you feel me, those really the amazing people that was on that bus. That think they got them a nice little Netflix special coming, for what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering, one of the things the Buffalo mayor's been complaining about is people breaking into businesses and looting during the storm. When your entire focus of this should be saving people's lives. That's what this family was concerned with, saving people's lives. Who cares? I don't care what people are breaking into businesses to take. You could be taking a big screen TV for all I care. The focus of the city needs to be keeping people safe and keeping people alive and saving these lives of people that are stranded. We got to move on to this next story. And these are a group of people who care a lot about saving animal lives. So let's watch this.
Yeah.
Shriners call for you for abusing animals in your circus. Drop the Animal Act immediately.
Right.
Do not touch me.
That is assault. You're trespassing.
Do not touch me. You are trespassing.
That's not a reason to assault somebody. We're leaving. Get out of our building now. Get out of our building now. Hey, don't touch me. That's assault.
You are trespassing.
You're trespassing. Hey, go back. Go back.
Please. It's not assault.
Yes, it is. You're trespassing.
You are trespassing.
We are leaving.
PETA activists were assaulted and then arrested just after they raided a meeting of an exclusive Freemason dudes cult known as Mullah Shriners. They were seen dropping coal on the floor when some of the Shriners followed them and attacked them when they went into this meeting location in St. Louis. So some more about that story from Raw Story. Sasha Monique, who was 32, and Kyle Mayberry, who's 40, were each charged with misdemeanors of disturbing the peace and trespassing after Monique barged into the meeting wearing Santa Claus costumes, saying the Shriners would be getting coal for Christmas for abusing animals in your circus. Mayberry recorded the incident on video. As the Riverfront Times points out, the Shriners run the Mullah Shrine Circus, a longtime PETA target for its use of elephants. It's one of the few remaining circuses around the United States that still uses the pachyderms, and PETA charges that they're held in small crates and kept in shackles. So here's a picture from their circus of the elephants being used for entertainment. PETA also weighed in and gave some more details. They put out a press release saying that the Shriner circuses are among the very last remaining shows that still use wild animals who are confined to small crates, kept in shackles, and deprived of any semblance of a natural or happy life. They routinely partner with notoriously cruel exhibitors, including Carson and Barnes Circus, which has been cited for more than 100 violations of the Animal Welfare Act, and whose head trainer was caught on video violently attacking elephants with bull hooks, weapons resembling a fireplace poker with a sharp hook at the end. So PETA also released a statement on the specific attack on its activists, which said one Shriner reportedly put Monique, who is the woman, in a chokehold, twisted her arm, and held her against a wall, while 3 or more of them threw Mayberry to the ground, ripping his clothing and pinned him down. One Shriner kneeled on his back and another stepped on his hand. So PETA activists can do some outrageous stunts. I think this is probably the least, intrusive stunt I've seen from PETA. I mean, you see these protesters will throw fake animals' blood all over themselves while they're naked at these events. She was dressed as Santa and dropped some coal on the floor and left, and they assaulted her. And I mean, and they're protesting for something that is very valid. The treatment of those elephants is really concerning. Conscious, what are your thoughts?
Man, we already gave analysis for how capitalism impacts humans. I think that this right here and how Peter gets at it, he really is able to expose the way in which capitalism holds environment and wildlife at Standing Bay. And I'm just, this to me is funny, man. A group of grown ass men being offended and being upset about, you feel me? I'm sorry, but listen, they are offended by coal and people dressed in Santa Claus suits.
Yeah, running around in their goofy little hats.
What? You feel offended based off of that? And I'm just thinking about it when it comes to the law. A lot of times we think about how certain people are always already supposed to conform to the law, while other individuals get to create these financial ways to go and cut corners. It's like, if you've created 100 violations against the law, I don't understand how you can still be a functioning business. But hey, man, I digress.
Well, thanks so much for joining me today on the last show of the year to break down the news. Everybody go follow The Conscious Lee on different social media platforms. TikTok, I know you're big on, so go check him out all over there. Give him a follow, check out his work.
Especially on YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
On YouTube, they'll give your boy a nice little subscribe, man. I got some things coming your way.
All right, everybody go do that. I'm gonna go do that too. But thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. We'll be back on Tuesday. But until then, enjoy your New Year's.
Welcome back, everyone. More importantly, welcome me back because I'm back. How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday. I'm here. I'm John Iadarola. Hey, Brett Erlich, you're here too. How's it going?
Yeah, just 1 second. Hello, Southwest 949er. Where are you? Let me just write this down in crayon because that's our system. Can you? I'm gonna write it in Burt's Bees. Go ahead.
It's probably
go
good.
for 929er.
Probably good. Yeah. Anyway, yes. So that's a general problem for the country. Also, I didn't get to go on my trip, which is fun and expensive to not go on a trip. But anyway, very glad to be back here. How's it going, Brett?
Wait, it was why was it expensive?
Well, I had like tickets and now there was stuff. There was stuff that was bought. I was able to resell them, but at a pretty significant loss. They're not Taylor Swift or anything, but it did cost a little bit of money. And also, it's not like here at TYT we take lots of full weeks off to have one that was supposed to be a big. Anyway, I don't want to complain. It affected a lot of people, but I'm very glad that you're here. I also want to thank Ben Glebe and Francesca for doing an amazing job of filling in throughout the week. I was tuning in. I know a lot of you were. Think they did a great job. Also, can I just say, we had the beginnings of a turnover in our staff before this last week happened, and of course, it's a week where I was gone. And I just discovered when I got in today that I had been very wrong about what I thought the timeline was. I thought I had a little bit more time with the producers moving on. Marisa did amazing work for a bunch of months. Was a great, awesome, positive member of the team who has now moved on. And we always want to acknowledge when we have a loss to our team. We're gonna get someone new, in the next month or so, but it is sort of sad. So that's the bad holiday news. Other than that, Brett, I think pretty much all the news is good today.
Yeah, all news is good news today. I feel good, and my friend John's back. He had time in town. He didn't call me to hang out. I don't begrudge him that. Seems like he's kind of made his point without having to say anything. That's super alpha of him. So
we effectively, my wife and I, treated it as a staycation where we spent a lot of time together and watched a lot of Christmas movies.
So COVID era, got it. Anyway, so John, I did return your Oculus that someone gave you. I put it back. So I also forgot to log out of the streaming services that I logged into, and then I would say burn the search history. But at this point, you might want to burn the Oculus. Just burn the device. Yeah, I think we both are on the same page with that. Just actually throw it in a river of lava if you can, because there is no amount of cleaning. Thank you.
Anyway, by the way, because you went into the studio yesterday to return that, but also to do the Turks and Jerks, Brett got to see that I'm using his desk as storage as I sell board games. So his desk is covered in like 20 board games I need to transition out of my collection. So sorry about that, Brett.
John and I built the wall yesterday. I was like, wow. I thought these were for me. Apparently they are not. So I built the wall. I basically just moved.
You can have as many of them as you want.
I don't know. Again, didn't call me, didn't say, Brett, do you want some board games? It's just gonna sell them on eBay. It's fine.
Probably locally, honestly. I don't want to deal with shipping. Anyway, so that's all of these self-indulgence I'll make time for after my return. But I am very glad to be back here. Thank you everyone for tuning in during my absence, but much more importantly, today while I am here, because we got a lot to talk about. Not only are we gonna be catching up with some of the updates on two of the big stories of the week, George Santos and Andrew Tate, we've got that. Young working class Americans getting spit in the face by a billionaire, always fun. We'll talk about that too. Insider trading effectively in Congress is gonna be fun. But after the first hour, stick around because we've got a supersized garbage block. We will be giving you our garbage people of the week, but also breaking down our garbage people of 2023, which Brett and I have been doing for a few years now. Maybe we'll take a little walk down memory lane and figure out who was the last couple of garbage people of the year. But anyway, with all that, please hit the like button, share the stream so that people know we're live and active. And if you want to send us any comments, tweets, or super chats, we'll respond as we go. Oh, I also want to say, I have already got my short list of garbage people of the year picked out, but I'm leaning towards our Blue Apron gift card member receiver of the day being someone who can remind me of a very deserving person that I hadn't thought of. I think that would be fun. There's a couple of really high profile ones that all of us could name. But if you can come up with someone very deserving of the title of Garbage Person of 2022, then you might earn a Blue Apron gift card. So we'll see about that.
John, did you just further gamify the game?
I'm trying to gamify literally everything, especially because I don't have a lot of time in my life to game. This is the gaming for me. Anyway, we're gonna have a battle pass for Damage Report in 2023, so stay tuned for that. We sort of do, actually. Anyway,
and the skins we sell are actual skin.
I'm not Blake Masters. Anyway, you ready to do this thing?
Yep, let's get into it.
Okay, let's talk about some news. I went away for a week and I did not expect that when I came back, I would be talking about yet more lies of George Santos, but specifically lies about the tragic death of a parental figure. And look, I don't even know what to make of this, but we're gonna lay out what we appear to know at this point. The tweet that set off a lot of discussion was from George Santos back in 2021. Tweet that says, 9/11 claimed my mother's life, so I'm blocking, so I don't ever have to read this again. That is, a bold claim. And look, if 9/11 had claimed the life of one of your relatives, you'd be very sensitive about it. But it does not appear that that's very accurate. First of all, journalist Yashar Ali flagged the tweet, so he was the one who originally raised them. And there's a lot of other details here. So despite saying there that 9/11 claimed the life of his mom, in a later period of 2021, tweeted December 23rd this year marks 5 years I lost my best friend and mentor, which would have put the unfortunate passing of George Santos's mother in 2016. And it appears that that is actually accurate because there's an obituary up that you can see that does put it at December 2016. So that 5 years thing seems to be accurate. It is notably 15 years after 9/11. And when you go to his bio on his website, which I believe is still up, it says she survived the tragic events on September 11th, supposedly being there, but she passed away a few years later when she lost her battle to cancer. And that's where things get kind of complicated because a lot of people did survive what happened in the towers and then did tragically pass from a variety of different medical ailments, including cancers. And I'm not a doctor, but it does seem possible that she could have struggled with cancer for 15 years and eventually passed. But saying that it took her life, we could debate that. But in particular, that she passed away a few years later, I don't want to be pedantic. I don't want to be, Stannis, but is 15 years a couple of years? I don't know, Brett. I want to bring you in because this appears to have some basis in truth, which makes it novel for a story about George Santos. But he has, I think, led us to need to question everything that he says, especially things that present him in a sympathetic light. And so what do you think about this? What do you think's going on?
I think there are so many other lies that Santos has told where I don't think he really earns our sympathy or attempts to give him benefits of doubts. And also 9/11 claimed my mother's life. Where are the other tweets about the carcinogens released into the air as a result of that? Where's your advocacy for that? Nowhere. I feel like the most important part of that original tweet, not to bring it back to something serious, but if you can go to graphic 1, who he's replying to, I think this really strikes a chord with the TYT audience, not Bolsonaro SP, but I come for Mao.
I didn't notice that. Of course you did.
So this guy's like, who I want to remind the seriousness of 9/11, I come for Mao. Like this guy is a ridiculous person. This guy may have lost his parents to 9/11, his mother to 9/11, and the long tail of it due to cancers caused for people in the area. Was she in? You said the word presumably when you said that she was in the area during 9/11. Is that true? Can we say that is true?
He says it is. I like to assume that people are telling the truth. I know I come off as like a cynic or a D or whatever on YouTube, but I generally try to assume that people are telling the truth.
But yeah, maybe Ranazisi said he was in 9/11 and used that to catapult his career. I think his name is Ranazisi, the guy from the League.
Yes.
But it was found out that he exaggerated that to make the tragedy about him. This guy is absolutely a pathological liar, and we should not give him the benefits of any doubt.
Yeah. By the way, in case I don't know, maybe you're coming in to this story late, I'm gonna remind you of a few of the big lies. But first, just a quick moment of fun. I love this. Back in August of 2021, he tweeted in all caps, "Biden is a pathological liar," which, case could be made, I suppose. We've critiqued Biden's lies in the past, but people love to see in others the thing with which they're struggling. And that's very much true here. Why is it that we would question George Santos's account of what happened to his mother, as uncomfortable a thing to do as that is? And the fact that it's around 9/11 obviously makes people really uncomfortable. I don't feel comfortable doing this. It's because of the lies. And I just want to remind you of a few of the big ones. So obviously, I didn't get to talk about this directly, but I believe Francesca talked about it. Despite public comments about being of Jewish heritage, he later told the New York Post that he never claimed to be Jewish, which he definitely has. Instead, he said he referred to himself as Jew-ish, which is literally a joke from before that he's using as his actual defense in the case of a big lie. There's lies I had forgotten about. For instance, I had fully forgotten that he claimed that 4 of his employees were killed in the Pulse nightclub shooting. He later said that 4 people were going to be coming to work at his company. But again, regardless, even if that's true, and we should not assume that it is, he is using 4 people's tragic death to make himself again seem sympathetic. It is so like Donald Trump when the towers fell and he said, "Well, I guess now my tower's the highest," or whatever. And then of course claiming that he helped out. It's trying to attach yourself to everything that happens in a way that benefits you. But then there's other lies that I didn't even know about until today. For instance, when his mother passed, according to a priest, they collected a bunch of money for the funeral and related expenses because according to George Santos, the mother didn't have any money and couldn't afford to deal with it. Remember, this is 5 years ago. And this is highly inconsistent with not only his own story of becoming a millionaire many years ago and working for all these places he didn't work for, but he says that she rose from absolutely nothing to be a top Wall Street CEO. So then why were you taking the donations because you desperately needed them because you had no money to do a funeral? Again, these are the sorts of things that I wouldn't want to ask about anyone, except he sort of has demanded it. And thankfully, at least, there is an investigation. Ann Donnelly, the DA of Nassau County, announced that they're going to be doing an investigation to numerous fabrications. A lot of these things, I can't imagine what law you'd be breaking, I suppose. But there are concerns about some. There's concerns about the way he spent some of the money his campaign brought in. He paid a company called Cleaner 123 nearly $11,000, supposedly for housing for members of his staff, which would be legal. But lots of sources are saying he and his husband were in fact living there, which is not legal. You cannot spend the money to do that. I personally think the law should be changed, but that's what the law actually is. He spent $40,000 for air travel, which is not normal for a congressional candidate who isn't holding public office. That's a ton of money there. And there are also dozens of expenses that are specifically cited as being $199.99. Highly specific. Also, the exact cent below where there would be federal requirements for receipts to be provided. So something was being hidden there. The idea that this guy is just a liar and hasn't broken the law while being possible, I find to be unlikely. Or what do you think?
I want to credit the good journalists who called this guy out in the public eye. And I'm not talking about the people from the New York Times. I'm talking about the people from the North Shore Leader, a local conservative newspaper who endorsed pretty much every other Republican running. And in their October, I think it was 10th or 20th issue, when they were doling out their endorsements, they literally start off their endorsement saying this newspaper would like to endorse a Republican for US Congress in New York 3, but the GOP nominee George Santos is so bizarre, unprincipled, and sketchy that we endorse Democrat Robert Zimmerman. They call him Scamtos before this all came to light. And shame on the Democrats who did not find this stuff out and invest $1 in a place that's not where like no one knew about this. People in the local area knew about it, they just didn't push.
Yeah, I actually saw apparently that they broke it in September, and it's the sort of thing I would have loved to have seen, but it's difficult. At least they were doing it, and they're more conservative, so they deserve credit. And it's weird that like we're a couple of weeks into the George Santos thing, and this is the first I'm even hearing that they did break the story initially. Definitely deserve more credit for it.
I mean, there's a lot of people running for a lot of offices, but it's just ridiculous that this guy won. There's tons of liars in Congress. They all need to get called out, but this guy is so abjectly horrible that he needs extra special treatment.
I agree. Okay, I want to jump into a little bit of fun. One of the reactions, an attempt to explain what we're seeing from George Santos. Let's go to this first video.
Politicians do not believe they answer to a higher power. They're a reflection of an American society and culture that has abandoned any fear of God, any respect for God, any respect for our founding and the founding principles. This country was based on a fear and a respect and our rights coming from a higher power, from the Most High God. And we just don't have that anymore. So I was watching George Santos, and he doesn't feel like he answers to anybody.
I mean, that is definitely true. But isn't it a little bit convenient that for Jason Whitlock, a conservative Republican lying a whole bunch to get elected by a party that is totally fine with their elected leaders lying constantly is not his fault. It's not conservatives' fault. It's certainly not Republicans' fault. It's godless, it's atheists, I guess. It's the libs. He needs to bow down before a higher power. The dude is claiming to be a member of multiple religions. I feel like he's hyper-focused on religion. Why aren't you giving him credit for that, Jason Whitlock? But anyway, he has more to his theory. Let's jump into this.
And he certainly doesn't answer to the American people. He thinks they're stupid. But there was a time, I've lived long enough, when a man's word actually meant something. A handshake, you make a promise, you stand on, but those times are long past. They certainly don't exist in politics. And so I would ask every man, woman, child, anybody listening, why we don't have a political problem in America. We have a spiritual problem. Our spiritual resolve has been broken, and that's why everybody's comfortable lying, seizing power by any means necessary. And this is on both sides. Men who believe in God are our only hope.
That didn't seem to bother Tulsi at all, but none of it really did. She was just nodding along as if everything Jason Whitlock was saying was perfectly reasonable. It's one instance in which she was filling in for Tucker Carlson. It would have made a lot of sense for Tucker Carlson to be on there because his blank stare would have made sense considering what was being said by Jason Whitlock, where you can tell lies now because you're not afraid of God. It's a religious thing. It's not a political thing, which is convenient, especially for him to say. And here's why I say that. Let's go to this last clip.
But right now, if I just went with gut feeling, blood in, blood out, Trump in, Trump out. This is a gang. And I hate to use that analogy, but I'm not coming up off of this.
Okay, so Jason Whitlock wants you to believe that the reason George Santos feels like he can lie is because he's not afraid of God. I have an alternate explanation as to why he feels like he can tell insane lies and won't suffer any consequences. Jason Whitlock just demonstrated it. Donald Trump has told a billion lies constantly, and has it led to Jason Whitlock, a guy who wants you to believe that he thinks your word is the most important thing. He remembers when a handshake used to mean something. He's still supporting Donald Trump. He literally cited in the George Santos thing that people feel like they can seize power if they want because they're not afraid of God. He's supporting Donald Trump, the insurrection guy. I would say it is very much a political problem, a problem wherein people don't honestly seem to care if people are lying to them in their campaigns, and Jason Whitlock is very much a part of that group. Sorry, Brett, what do you think?
Well, the fact is that George Santos can't get people anything, right? The goal for most people when they interact with politics, there's two potential goals. There's either the goal that it's transactional. I want to get something. A lot of people will put up with Donald Trump's lies, actually love it just because A, it's entertaining, I guess I should say the other thing. The other thing is just to be entertained, to feel like somehow they have control in a world where they might not have as much control as they want. And the control they demonstrate is by essentially going, oh man, when someone has a sick burn, or like you're stupid when they see something popular that they don't want to be popular, and then they comment on it. Donald Trump gave them both of those things. Now, those same people are very religious typically, and they say that like, oh, God is great and I need to, revere him and live by his code so I can get into heaven or whatever. They're willing to put that aside because Trump was so entertaining, and also Trump got them the Supreme Court justices they needed to outlaw abortion.
Yeah.
So I want people to think about the caring coefficient, like how much do people actually care? They say, here's the thing I care about, but you got to multiply it by something to get the actual amount of caring they have. I'd say like international relations, they say they care about it, they don't really care about it. They care about if they have a job or if they're saving the immortal souls of babies. That's most Republicans. And so the immortal souls of babies thing, they're in the minority on that. But when it comes to jobs and things that put food on the table and protect their family, they do care more about that. That is a high value caring that they have. And in this situation, no one cares about Santos. They're willing to kick him out insofar as they can replace him with someone who will get them the transactional result that they want. If they can't,
I want to at least see that. Then
they don't.
If they do that, that'll be worth something.
I mean, and what Trump has done is essentially lengthen the fuse of how long people are willing to wait to see if a bomb goes off, right? The Trump used to be, you got caught in a certain kind of scandal, you would have to apologize, you would have to resign. People used to do that, like Nixon resigned. Trump just didn't. And so people are willing to put up with it longer. So the looking around to see if this guy actually has to go anywhere just takes longer in a post-Trump era.
Yeah, maybe. Well, let's talk briefly about one of the potential solutions to this. Representative Richie Torres has been a big critic of George Santos through this entire thing. Doesn't like that George Santos is still on track to hold his position despite all of these insane lies. And he believes he has a solution for it, and I want to debate it. So he tweeted, I am introducing a bill to require candidates to disclose under oath their employment, educational, and military history so we can punish candidates who lie to voters about their qualifications. It will be called the Stop Another Non-Truthful Office Seeker, the Santos Act. That one's mildly funny. I don't generally like when politicians contort words to produce the acronym, but that one's not bad. Anyway, he says if you lie about these specific things, then there could be some consequences, because right now there are not. And I think that that's, I don't know. I want politicians to be honest, but you could ask for very specific things. But people exaggerate. The issue with Santos is that he goes way beyond the normal sort of exaggeration or talking up of things that most people do. Like, how many things would you have to disclose? How specific would you have to be? That gets into an area where it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I really wish that the solution should be that people care and that they wouldn't trust him, they wouldn't support him, they wouldn't donate to him. That should be the mechanism for dealing with massive liars, but it's very rarely worked in recent American politics. Brett, what do you think about this plan?
I think it's trash. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I think we do have all the mechanisms in place that will vet it. It's called an election. It is called the media. All the people out there should be able to access this information pretty accurately. And it is on, like, there's a process to see if people like it. And honestly, it's mostly jokingly, but like, this America, Jack, you're whoever you say you are. Go for it. That you're never gonna fully eliminate that instinct that I overstated, but I think it's weird to have basically they're saying there should be a law when it's their failures that led to this. And so I think also this is not gonna be, I think the conversation of America, if we're saying what 2022 was, it's the Trump is over party. And I think that the political calculus is gonna be to say, all right, none of the people in Congress are gonna open themselves up to some kind of like criminal penalty for exaggerating in a way that this very likely unenforceable act would create.
Yeah, in the same way that a lot of the stuff about, like changes to campaign finance or term limits, like you have to get people who have benefited in the current system to support that. It makes it unlikely that this would actually work. What I wonder about that Trump is over party is that Trump might well be over. He certainly seems to have taken a hit by 2022, but it's like his essence has just it's just settling on everyone. Like, will there be more George Santoses? Like, what will the lesson of grifters be coming out of this? Will they feel like, oh, he got caught, so maybe I shouldn't risk it? Or will others see that he's probably still gonna hold office and think, well, there's so many candidates running, they can't look into all of them. Why shouldn't I juice up my resume or whatever? So I'm a little bit worried about that. Anyway, with that said, we're gonna take our first break of the hour, see what all of you have been up to. And when we come back, Andrew Tate has been detained in Romania. We'll give you the latest after this.
I'm a dragon and I'm tall.
How's it going, everybody? Let's see what is going on out there. If my document is accurate, by the way, I shouldn't take that for granted, as with any statement from George Santos. Indisputable today will be featuring Sharon Reed and Jackson White. I'm hoping that's the case. If not, it'll be other cool people, but that's what I think it will be. Okay, so let's see what's going on out there. In the member comments, Democracy for Sale says there shall be dancing in the streets for our Dragon Daddy has returned. It did feel like both a very long time and a very short time. It was a week almost of being at home without having to work. And I can't tell you the last time that happened. Like, I've taken a couple of trips since the pandemic, but just being here, that was weird.
I can confirm it is Sharon Reed and Jackson White.
Awesome, great news, thank you. Shai Coltrane says, breaking news, Idaho killer caught in PA. Yes, I saw that they had gotten someone. I didn't know that it was confirmed that it's definitely the person, but either way, good news. Nostra Science says, let's all TYT live play. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego and JR Jackson's luggage? Did JR lose his luggage?
Oh no.
I know a lot of people did. Oh no.
No.
Swifty says, is George, I'm already angry. I took a glance at a comment that Bart is writing in the document. I'm already mad. I'll get to it in a minute. Swifty says, is George Santos, if that is even his name, really a person? He would probably say he is, but I think if you cut into him, he will actually be cake.
Is it cake?
Maybe. We're gonna have to get him on that Mikey Day show. Brett, did you watch that at all?
Did I watch? I don't feel like I needed to watch any more than the autoplay trailer on Netflix for that. It's like, so sometimes it's cake.
I don't want to often than you'd think.
I will spend 6 hours waiting for them to reveal the final look of the, fixer upper, The Castle from the Magnolia Network. I will do that for home renovations. I will spend not a minute waiting to see if it's cake.
Yeah. I thought The Castle was okay. I've been wanting them to do a whole season on one place for a while. The Castle's okay. Castles are impractical. Anyway, do a Wizard's Tower. That's what I want. Anyway, Moondragon gifted 5 memberships. As always, Moondragon, much appreciated. Thank you. With a Wizard's Tower, it'd be great.
There was a castle in Waco. There was a castle. They just bought it and flipped it. There wasn't a Wizard's Tower in Waco.
I know that, but there should
That's
be.
Impractical, John.
I suppose that is true. Okay, let's see. Jonathan Toten, member for 20 months on YouTube, says, welcome back, John. Hope you had a great Christmas and hoping all the Dragon Squad has a happy and safe New Year. I do as well. Thank you. Shoe Freak Dragon, member for 22 months, says Happy New Year's, Dragon Daddy. Brett and Dragon Squad, thank you so much. Kide gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Kide. Very nice of you. Okay, let's see. Kai sent in a super chat saying, hey, I appreciate you both and Dragon Squad for providing some normalcy today, since I'm coming off of taking care of my mom who has cancer and just got COVID, and now I am sick with COVID. Just nice to laugh with y'all for a bit. Thanks.
No.
Oh, that's so rough. A nice thing for you to do, obviously, to help out your mom, even knowing that you might get COVID from it. That's an amazing sacrifice. Sorry that you're going through that. Okay, Hoot USMC says, get a haircut, hippie. I got a haircut. Brett had been like insisting that I do. I got one, sort of, on the side, a little bit shorter. I don't know.
You shaped it.
I don't know.
You're shaping it.
Huh?
Huh?
I shaped it a bit. I shaped it. I'm never gonna be Aragorn at this rate, though, if I keep cutting it.
You don't have wavy hair, John.
You can add waves. There's products. I saw ads on TV very late at night, and they didn't seem that expensive. Well, it's several payments, but anyway, with that said, let's get to more news.
$9.95 down payment.
You can't tell me that like everyone with waves has them naturally. That's not how that works. You can add them.
I get ringlets, dude. I
want to see that. I want to see that.
Sure. Anyway, please go for it. I'll have it by the end of the show.
Okay. By the way, keep sending in your very unique garbage people of the year, because we're still waiting to get a good one to give out the Blue Apron gift card. And if we don't get one, then we'll just give it to someone else. But hopefully for that. Anyway, with that said, let's jump into one of the weirdest stories of the week, starting with this.
The Matrix has attacked me. This way?
So that is Andrew Tate being detained in Romania, as well as a number of other people. And we're still sifting through the information, and he's making certain claims about it. We're gonna debate what exactly this might represent and what the authorities are saying is going on. But first, I believe we have a little bit more video.
Release some greenhouse gases. I'm obviously a stranger to online controversy. It's not something I often do. But now, the mainstream press is commenting on the fact that I was informing Greta that my very extensive car collection with internal combustion engines, which run on dead dinosaurs, have an enormous emission profile. And she replied by telling me her own email address. Greta's email address is, I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address, Greta? Strange. I mean, also, I don't want to assume her gender. It's 50-50, but it is what it is. I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. Thank you. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix. She thinks she's doing good.
The reason we had to play that, because that obviously comes before the detention, is there is a theory going around that the pizza was instrumental in catching him. I don't know if that's true. The authorities are casting a bit of doubt on that the little QR code in the name of the company was involved. But I'm glad that the theory is out there, because it allowed Greta to get in one more tweet where she tweets, "This is what happens when you don't recycle your pizza boxes," which I think is hilarious. But anyway, I also want to show you that video just because who is that impressing, honestly? Like, again, I'm glad that he made it for the tweet, and also because Jessica Burbank did a great impersonation of him on Instagram from that video. But who's being drawn in by that? You believe that guy has a good life? You think he's happy and satisfied? Anyway, as of right now, he is probably not happy, because he was hauled in. The authorities have detained him, as well as his brother Tristan and a couple of other guys, for supposedly human trafficking and forming an organized crime group. We're still learning the details on that. But a Romanian anti-organized crime unit is seeking authorization to hold him, his brother, and two other suspects for 30 days. The initial warrant was for 24 hours. One of the individuals, they're not saying who, at least as of when we're going live right now, was charged with rape as well. But there's not a lot of specifics here on exactly who is being charged with exactly which of the crimes and all that. We do know that Romanian prosecutors are saying that they've identified 6 people who are being held and being either forced to produce pornography or being assaulted by one or more of these individuals. He's saying that he was swatted, that this wasn't, I guess, an organic investigation. Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe he's telling the truth. Anyway, Brett, the whole thing's disgusting. Everything involving him always will be. But what do you think about this?
I hope this is just one elaborate ad for Jerry's Pizza. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm getting like skipped frames. So yeah, I hope this is one giant elaborate ad for Jerry's Pizza. And I love that he thinks that this is impressive. He is totally like, let me get that pizza, I'm gonna nail it. I'm not sure you can recycle pizza box lids, but I do know one thing.
There's a lobbying group that says you can, actually.
Okay, good. I love it. I trust every lobbying group. Anyways, I love this. I love this story because it really is a microcosm of the internet in 2022, where every reasonable person is like, come on, dude. There's a lot of stuff that most human beings out there accept. And then there's other people who don't want to accept the world because the world hasn't accepted them. But they don't want to put forth any effort into understanding what it is about the world that rejects their behaviors and then analyzes whether that essential matrix is a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. Instead, they want to idolize anyone who makes them feel like they can have a path toward being worth it. Unfortunately, that person who offers them that path pretty much invariably is only successful and functions as a successful role model in their mind because that role model is just grifting off of these sad, disaffected D-bags.
Yeah,
that's all. The most hilarious thing is all the people who are like, Andrew Tate, alpha sex traffic and go to jail for it. Like there's still stands out there who are gonna stand to the death of Andrew Tate, regardless of how horribly he handled this.
Yeah, and I don't know what the evidence is going to be, but I also know that it's irrelevant to those stands. They're gonna believe, because they believe what he says, and what he says is that it's illegitimate. But look, I have more general things to say about him that I'll save for later in the show, not to be too specific. I don't want to talk generally about him that much. But when the only thing that they can make money off of is selling you that you should be more like them, you should be a little bit more curious about that. You should look into that a little bit. Like the people who make a ton of money just teaching you how to sell real estate, why aren't they doing it then? If it's so easy, why aren't they making money off of real estate? Why are they making off of telling you how to sell real estate? And it's the same thing for these guys. They're not individually wealthy. They're wealthy only because they're telling you to give them money so you can learn how to be wealthy. Why doesn't that raise like red flags for people? I don't understand it. Anyway, while we can joke about different aspects of this, and the story throughout the week has been hilarious, his weird attempts to one-up Greta and his complete inability to do it is funny. The story at the end of the day is not funny. The things that they're being alleged to have done are as dark and as serious as anything. There are many victims to this. Some have already been discussed in the story. And then I also consider a lot of the guys who have been drawn in by these absolute loser grifters are victims in a different way. But anyway, we'll see what happens. He's claiming that he's just been swatted. I don't know what that has to do with anything. We'll see what the Romanian authorities have, and also how long they can hold him. In theory, he could be released very soon. We'll have to see, but we'll have updates. Okay, with that said, why don't we move to one more topic for now? Look, it's tough in America being young, trying to make money, knowing that the cost of regular goods is going up, rent is going up. It's almost impossible to imagine being able to own a home. So having some of the richest people in the country constantly insulting you is certainly insult to injury. Let's add one more insult. It's coming from the co-founder initially of Home Depot, Bernie Marcus, who said, nobody works, nobody gives a damn anymore, and it's because of socialism, but not just because of socialism. He has a lot of explanations as to why all of you are lazy and don't work. He said, just give it to me, send me money. I don't want to work. I'm too lazy, I'm too fat, I'm too stupid. And he says that if he founded Home Depot today, it may not have been successful, I guess because the potential workers are too stupid, fat, and or lazy. I don't know what some of these would have to do with motivation to work. And I don't know where these rich people think young unemployed people are making all of this money from the government that they think exists but clearly doesn't. By the way, the US unemployment rate is at 3.7%, seems inconsistent with a nobody wants to work sort of thing. Anyway, I'm just so sick of this, Brett, at this point. This is a guy who has been fabulously wealthy for many decades, who has no idea what it's like to be young, to be navigating the gig economy, to be looking forward towards what your prospects are for retirement or home ownership. And so, I just hate it when they weigh in. We don't have the intro for when billionaires cry, but I feel like this is a good instance of it.
This is amazing. This guy just has no self-awareness. It is exactly, I'm gonna turn on, I'll fix it during the break. He has
I can't hear whatever you're hearing.
So no, it's I freeze frame. Okay. He has absolutely no self-awareness of what he seems like outside of everything else. I know, listen, this is a guy who really speaks to the everyman in America. Everybody who is just struggling to get food on the table. Why wouldn't they go back into the mines? I mean, if this guy had his way, there would be no like protective masks for the person having to cut fiberglass or whatever, cut, running the sawmill in the back of the Home Depot. This guy thinks of every little bit of money he has to pay out to his employees as a major inconvenience for him. And the thought that over time, as society invents new technologies and theoretically is heading toward a better world, that other people besides him and his mega rich friends would want in on some of that subsistence living, at least action, that makes him sick to his stomach. And he likes to engage in the same BS fake wordery as the rest of the right wing by saying socialism is at fault. Like that even remotely what we have in America. The only socialism we do have to a large extent is the giant handouts to companies like his when the economy incurs some kind of setback, where they give money to his major corporations so they can make it through the winter.
Yeah.
So stupid.
By the way, he's given tons of money to the GOP. You'll be shocked to find out. Mega donor, supported Trump in 2016 and 2020. He's donated something like $64 million that we know of to a number of different candidates. Not just Trump, but McCain and Rubio, Jeb Bush, Mitt Romney, Herschel Walker. By the way, he's very high standards for his candidates. He wants Herschel Walker in. Joe Manchin too. There's one or two Democrats on that list. So again, it's so hard being a billionaire. You can't count on your workers and everything, and you have $63 million to throw at a bunch of a-holes. It's a tough life. By the way, there's a statement.
Just know this is his negotiating position. It takes a lot of the like hatred I have for him away from it when I'm like, this is just his negotiating position. Mm-hmm. He wants you to think that if you want to raise, you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
Anti-American psychopath.
It's a
good negotiating position, and it seems to work with Ben Shapiro, who I will remind you bought a dazzling board of poplar at the Inglewood Home Depot one day.
He did. One. But anyway, a statement put up by Home Depot, who wants to distance themselves clearly, says, our co-founder Bernie Marcus left the Home Depot more than 20 years ago, and his views do not represent the company. Yeah, I wouldn't want to
still shopping at Lowe's.
Yeah, it's not close to where I live though. Anyway, by the way, I just want to briefly mention, because I saw this and I was a little bit surprised by this. So Marcus and his wife Billy have also pledged to give away most of their estimated $8.9 billion fortune. In 2010, they signed the Giving Pledge, a commitment to donate most of their wealth to charitable causes, which is good. I don't know. I never want to give too much credit to it does seem a little bit social. I never want to give too much credit to the billionaires that do that, because like when you give something, it's good because you're willing to let someone else have it rather than you have it, right? Like if I gave every cent that I have right now to a cause, you'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. You're gonna totally go without so that they can have. But if I know that I'm not gonna be able to use it anyway, it's like charity, but only kind of. Am I wrong? Am I the bad guy?
Oh no, it makes me so mad is when these people don't give it to their kids. That's the problem that I have. Isn't that weird? I don't know. There's something about it. It's like, give it to your family. A family is important. If you guys are talking about how important family is, give it to your family. Don't just get, because, and the main point that I guess I do have to make is that I doubt that his charitable causes will actually benefit the planet. Like you can give it to a 501c3 that makes women look at their ultrasound before you give them the abortion services. You basically lied to them about you providing, which you'll never provide because you're not the kind of company who does that. You might give to a charitable organization that elects Republican judges and Republicans all over the place. Like that's just a classification. It doesn't mean it has any class.
Yeah. Anyway, look, I think if you want a lot of credit, like give the money before you die. Give it like, and then live like a regular like middle class lifestyle or something for the last 15 years of your life. That's not actually the end of the world.
And also this guy who says no one wants to work at Home Depot has literally never been outside a Home Depot. There's people that are like, I will help you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Anyway, with that said, we should probably take our last break of the hour. When we come back, we're gonna be diving into insider trading, which is gonna be continuing off into the foreseeable future. We'll give you the details after this. Okay, let's see what's going on out there. Who says, John, your hair looks like mine did back in 91. Doesn't say if that's a good thing or a bad thing. What is that?
This is Brett Erlich with long hair.
Wow.
From I want to say 2006, 2007.
That's a lot of hair, Brett. Jeez, it's very Jim, by the way, from The Office.
Back in the day, I had this hair, and someone told me on an internet comment, one of my favorite was, Ashton Kutcher called, he wants his 1997 image back.
Definitely.
Beep, boop, boop. There you go.
Okay, so Brett, I'm gonna need your help right now, very briefly, because I am at a bit of a loss. Okay, so there are I think two good submissions for Garbage Person of the Year here that weren't on my list. I'm not sure which to give it to, so I'm gonna need you to help. So the first is from Sonic Screwdragon, who says Chaya Raichik for Jerk of the Year for libs of TikTok, spreading hate and fear while screaming she needs protection. I just forgot of her, but she is pretty terrible, pretty uniquely bad. That is true. Queen Mother Dragon says, my vote for Garbage, both of these are subscribers on Twitch, says this year is Governor Abbott for taking away abortion rights, which has already led to deaths, supporting the cops who stood by while kids were killed in Uvalde, and busing immigrants to DC to freeze to death. He may have more that I'm not remembering. And that is true. He did a lot of really bad stuff. One is an elected official, one is an activist, I guess. Which do you think between those two, Governor Abbott and Chaya Raichik?
The Garbage Person is, we always, like when someone comes in that hasn't done it before, they're like, the Garbage Person is like Vladimir Putin because he killed thousands of people. It's like, yes, that is a bad person. Is it a garbage person? Does it really embrace the like, oh my God, you're such garbage? For me, Garbage Person I'd give it to the libs of TikTok girl just because of the feel and theme of Garbage Person.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, it doesn't mean the literal most evil person. It could. It's more like, you're garbage. And I think that's true. I think that Chaya Raichik is more garbage. Abbott is more damaging and terrible. So today, at least, thank you though for the other submissions. But Sonic Screwdragon, you get a $100 Blue Apron gift card. And to get that, here's what you need to do. You need to, did they take away the thing? No, they did not. Okay, so you need to email rewards@tyt.com. Just send your first name, your last name, your email, and the handle you use to comment. The team will look into it and get you the $100 Blue Apron gift card. We're gonna be giving these away for the near future, one per day to our members on the various different platforms. So everybody can continue to play, and tomorrow might be your day. Well, not tomorrow, but maybe Tuesday. Anyway, thank you, Sonic Screwdragon. Okay, couple more comments. Let's see. Sophia Rodriguez Engelbrecht says in a very generous super chat, thank you, says, I think everyone talking about trouble with flights without mentioning that we need to drastically cut down the amount we fly if we want to prevent the worst of the climate catastrophe is a little garbagey, even if they don't mean to be. Yes, we do need to cut down our flights. It's just, I understand a lot of people might fly once per year and some people are flying absolutely constantly. There's a huge disparity in how much people fly, but you are right that in general, we need to stop doing as much of it. Okay, only 13 seconds. Goose Jail has been with us for 8 months on Twitch. Thank you, Goose Jail. Crafty Kether for 18 as well. Thank you to both of you. There's a lot more comments. We're gonna try to catch up when we can, but we got this.
I'm a dragon.
Okay, hold on. Lone Wolf says, Iadarola's hair is the Men's Warehouse company cut, and I salute his bravery in these tough times.
Nope. John's just showing up to take your daughter to homecoming in 1999. That's what John looks like.
Is that?
All right, I'm having more freeze frames. Let me switch cameras.
Jesus. Anyway, okay, well, with that, we're gonna jump into our news. One thing that is both bipartisan and enduring in Congress is insider trading. We're gonna get into this conversation and talk about the many, many people that have gamed the system this year, but I wanna remind you of one thing that happened not long ago. Take a look at this.
Speaker, the stock trade ban legislation, it's uniquely had broad bipartisan support, but we've been talking about this since February. Why has it taken 8 months? And given the fact that the media, including most recently the New York Times, launched an investigation citing 97 lawmakers in potential violation, with many of them failing to report under the Stock Act, should there be greater penalties in the legislation that you do put forward for people to be found in violation?
Here's the thing, members have been working on this. Just because somebody introduces a bill doesn't mean it becomes the law of the land. There's been discussion about it, and just recently, this morning actually, the committee, we've been going back and forth, and they were refining things and talking to members about what they think will work, and we believe we have a product that we can bring to the floor this month.
Yeah, so no, it didn't happen, and it's not going to happen. The Democrats are ending their time without passing anything to fundamentally change the way that members of Congress can use insider information that they have to personally enrich themselves. And in theory, the Republicans could take it up, that chance of that happening. And so it is a little bit convenient that Nancy Pelosi, who was initially super sensitive when you'd bring up the fact that she'd made so much money and had access to all this information and said that the law didn't need to change, then all of a sudden had a change of heart, dragged out the process, and now nothing is gonna happen. That is a very convenient thing. And it leaves us with the status quo, which allowed for a lot of financial shenanigans. And I wanna give credit, as we so often do, to Dave Leventhal and the team at Insider, who has been constantly on this beat for several years now. Identified recently 77 members of Congress who've recently failed to properly report their financial trades as mandated by the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act of 2012, the Stock Act, which we've made many videos about. So Congress passed the law a decade ago to combat insider trading and conflicts of interest among their own members and force lawmakers to be more transparent about their personal financial dealings. A key provision of the law mandates that lawmakers publicly and quickly disclose any stock trade made by themselves, a spouse, or a dependent child, but many members of Congress every single year don't comply with the law. And why would they? There is basically no issue if you don't. There can be a very minor fine that often isn't even levied. And think about this. This law is basically all we have. It's a paper shield. It doesn't stop you from using insider information to do stock trades. The idea is supposed to be that, okay, you'll use the information, but then we get to know the trades that you make. So in theory, if the public was watching, they could make the same moves, but they don't even comply with that. And so effectively, there's nothing to stop them from using this information and leaving the public in the dark. Brett, what do you think?
No, this is if I were to do pitch a segment, I would call it this. And it would be just, this is the moment of Leo DiCaprio smoking a cig and just being like, that is what's wrong with Congress. This is exactly what's corrupt. The fact that these fools are just being like, you know what? Honestly, there's nothing we could do. Clock ran out. I can't believe we forgot to take our shot at this. No, you guys are acting on information that only you have. I say we completely shift this. We say, once you're elected, we're gonna give you $170,000 a year. That's your salary. And you know what? We're gonna put you on a bonus structure. We're gonna invest you largely in the economy of the United States of America, maybe the economy of your district. What did you do for your district to make your district's economy grow more? And we'll bonus you out. That's your dividend from the America Fund.
I hate it.
It's like, oh, but I told you I cheated. That's their defense. Well, we have to tell you if we cheat. No, how about we don't let you cheat?
So at all. And again, we keep making this case, and I'm glad that there have been some elected representatives. AOC was on this beat for a while, pushing for, like, you have decided to go in and serve. That's the term that we used. You're going to serve in Congress. It's service. It's not gain. I'm not going to go gain in Congress. I mean, that's what they literally do. But the idea that there would be some restrictions on what you can do, that seems like the most reasonable thing in the world. And by the way, the attempts to change the law haven't even been you can't invest at all. You can still invest, and you can do kind of a version of what Brett is talking about. You can do investments into mutual funds and things like that, things that track like whole sectors, all of that, whatever. You can do that. You just can't invest in specific companies. That's madness. As Brett said, yes, it's like any person knows that. Any person sees how reasonable that is, but they're making tons of money. And so why would they change it? Why would they change the law? And why would they comply with the law? To give you an example of how this can work, one representative, Diana Harshbarger, Republican from Tennessee, failed to disclose more than 700 stock trades, together almost $11 million in trading activity. And let's say that they don't get rid of the investigation, that they don't waive the fee. What could the fee be? It'd be $200. Why would you abide by that? Again, unless it's more than what you gain, there is no reason to abide by it. You would just factor that into the price of doing illegal business, or what should be illegal business.
Like letting the Russian team tell you what like not outlawing the steroids, but being like, yeah, I brought those steroids. I'm on those steroids. You can't do the steroids. You can't even really understand what steroids, like when I went into this decision process, but I'm on steroids now. You're not. Yeah. Good luck to you.
Oh, and here's your $200. So here are my steroids, and here's the $200, and now I'm gonna do the steroids. It doesn't make any sense. If they were to imagine if they were to like expel a dozen members of Congress for insider trading or whatever, and then ban it. That would be such a strong signal to the American people that they care about corruption and are trying to stop it. And so of course that will literally never happen. Anyway. By the way, you should definitely go to Insider. You can find Dave's most recent work. I mean, they talk about this fairly constantly. It's 77 members of Congress. That's right now. It's every single year. And even though the media has been covering it, they're doing. Remember how we said, with George Santos, they should have been on the beat. There are people on this beat. Just so far, there hasn't been the will to actually do anything about it because the pressure hasn't been there. Anyway, with that said, that is the end of our first hour of our show. Thank you everyone who's been watching or listening on the podcast, as always, much appreciated. But on the aftermath, we're gonna be throwing away not only our garbage people of the week, but our garbage people of 2022, talking about some honorable mentions. And I do wanna point out one good person too. So we'll get to that and more after this. Welcome back to the Aftermath, everybody, with me, John Iadarola, and Brett Erlich. Brett, thank you for being here all year long.
I just like sharing my life with you, John. I like when we hang out and drink hot chocolate in front of a fire and tell tales of our adventures.
It does sound fun. It's like something out of Willow. Anyway, with that said,
Wildwood was a really good episode.
It was a good episode. Really I have a lot of thoughts about that show. I might do a podcast episode about it. We'll see. I feel very conflicted.
Thanks for the invite.
With you.
Doesn't sound like it.
Ass.
BS. Okay. No way when you said I might do a podcast about it, did you think you would do it with me?
Yes, I was.
No chance.
Yes, I was thinking that.
All right.
I'm fine razzing you. I would love to make the joke that I wasn't planning to, but I was actually in this case.
Okay.
We'll see. It may not be just you. Frank Way might join, but anyway, we'll talk about it. More importantly, we've got news to talk about, and we're gonna get to that in just one second. I wanna read a couple of comments though, and a super chat from Bernie the Kiwi Dragon, who sent a very generous super chat. Thank you, Bernie, so much. It says, dear Brett and John, thank you very much for all the hard work you, the other guest hosts, and the production team you do in helping foster a strong sense of community here with the Dragon Squad. Have a very happy new year. P.S. How to claim the Blue Apron gifts again. Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, for the claiming, you're gonna wanna send an email to rewards@tyt.com. Send your first name, last name, email, and the handle you used for the comment that you rewarded it. And then the team will look into it and contact you. So thank you very much. Okay, really fast, I'm gonna read Bart's comment. Hey John, you mentioned if there is someone to remind you of, a deserving person for Garbage Person of the Year, I nominate AOC. My reason is not for her lack of pushing hard and taking progressive stances in Congress, which is very disappointing. It's for her narrow-minded and short-sighted take on the menu of In-N-Out restaurants. She claims it's overrated. She's wrong. It's rated just fine. The food is reasonable and affordable, and it's one of the few fast food chains that pays its workers well. She buzzkilled America and drew first blood on her observations of In-N-Out. Sorry, John, you can't really defend AOC in this battle for the hearts, minds, and stomachs of America. I will easily defeat you because it's not cool having a killjoy in the halls of Congress. This is my hill I will die on, and the view is great. Do you think we should give AOC an In-N-Out gift card instead of a Blue Apron? Just a thought.
Good idea. Funny. The underrated thing that no one talks about on the In-N-Out is the toasted ring around the outside of the bun. It creates just a little crunch, and it's not me, it's the NDIs that are freezing because I am sending.
Okay. I'm sure you're doing everything you're supposed to. I haven't had it in a long time. I'll have to try it. Bart, that was very funny thing. I was worried going into it, but I enjoyed it halfway through. Okay, let's see. Amanda Oken says in a super chat, the only winner of Garbage Person should be SCOTUS for taking women's rights away, although there are so many others. Love your hair, John. Don't listen to the haters. Well, thank you. Hey, May Money says, John, I'm babysitting my friend's doggo Henry. Are you jealous? I bet you'd be jealous. Welcome back, homie. I'm gonna smoke some weed now. Hi, Brett. Thank you. By the way, I wanted to read a few comments making fun of us. Skittlebutt Dragon Rasp says, John looks like the ski villain in a John Hughes movie.
Right, lovely.
Thank you. I spent quite a bit of the vacation watching John Hughes movies.
It looks good, John.
Uncle
Don't
Buck,
let anyone say anything.
Thank you. Well, Gintry says, John looks like he'd play a teenager on 90210 in 1993. That's funny. Leon says, you look like the guy in Supernatural after he was in hell. I don't watch Supernatural, but that sounds bad. I don't know what that means.
I have not seen it either, but I love that.
And Paolo says, Brett looks like Dwight trying to be Jim in the photo, I think. Anyway, that's funny. I'm gonna have to watch Supernatural to figure out what that means. Okay, with that, let's talk about, do we have time? Do we have time?
Do it.
Okay, we're gonna do it really fast. Okay.
09, we'll be done at 10 after.
What? I can't do it in a minute. No, I'm gonna keep talking behind the scenes. I apologize. Okay, let's do this. A number of different people, thousands in fact, in the UK got the absolute worst Christmas present imaginable. Just 2 days before Christmas, they got this text message. It's a little bit confusing. It's got British speak in it, but it says diagnosis, aggressive lung cancer. And by the way, if you click on the link or whatever, it's to a thing for people like to plan their end of life care. So they got messages, thousands of people, 2 days before Christmas, that they were dying of aggressive cancer. Is Askern Medical Practice that sent the automated text message. They asked patients to fill out a form that allows people with terminal illnesses to claim benefits. And if you got a message like this, particularly if you had been like going to the doctor, worried about something, you were being diagnosed, you would be absolutely horrified to get a message like this. Thankfully, within about an hour, the hospital followed up with this message. Please accept our sincere apologies for the previous text message sent. This has been sent in error. Our message to you should have read, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It was probably a typo that resulted in the second one. 8,000 patients got that. And at least one, by the way, Chris Reed, a 57-year-old, was waiting for results after tests for lung cancer. Like very specifically the thing that the flawed message was addressing. Now they did correct it. But how does this happen, Brett? How do you send out 8,000 messages like that? And by the way, I understand that people are rightly mad that this was going out to people who don't actually have aggressive lung cancer. And that is a perfectly reasonable thing to be frustrated by. But even if it was going to people who had it, you're texting them? That's how you're letting them know that the diagnosis is that they're soon to die? I feel like that merits a phone call. Brett, what do you think?
It doesn't sound like the thing they sent out was essentially like, it doesn't seem like the thing that they would send telling someone that they have lung cancer. It looks like for the above patient, it seems like it's a request to a service that does imaging to have the patient come in and do a test for advanced lung cancer. So it's not like their normal business is to send this message to the people being like, all right, text 5 to stop these messages and 6 to accept your diagnosis for lung cancer. It's not the case, so I reject that a little bit. But I will say that like,
well, yeah, but if you, I think that's a fine read of the text message. But if you're a regular person reading that, your eyes are going to go to diagnosis aggressive lung cancer
charge. So I think in this situation, people should be thanking this hospital for giving them a new perspective and lease on life. And the hospital should have said, actually, no, we cured your lung cancer unless you are patient DS 1500 for the above patient, in which case, sorry, this was meant for you.
I think that might get some more people angry. Anyway, so yeah, it's just such a mix up. Really fast, which is the worst mistake to make? Sending this to 8,000 people 2 days before Christmas and making them think they're about to die of cancer, or the millions of people, I think it was, that got a message saying that their student loans had already been resolved, and when really it was just their application had been accepted.
This goes up there, this is worse, and it goes up there with the people, I think of Midway, who got a message saying that there was like a missile attack. Remember that a few years ago?
Yes,
that was amazing.
I too. Yeah, I think, I think the student loans are worse because those people still owe the debt. Like these people don't have aggressive lung cancer. They're both bad. They're both bad. Anyway.
So hope and despair versus despair and then happiness. Got it. So just ending on despair is worse.
I agree. Okay, really fast. We're gonna move on to the big whole point of the day. But first, the Dark Phoenix has been a member for 7 months on YouTube and says, new year, new host. I expect to see Jessica rightfully hosting here next week, or Franny, or both. Happy New Year's, John, and the Dragon Squad.
Hostile.
That is quite hostile. By the way, Tate just gifted 20 memberships to the Damage Report on YouTube.
Wow, happy Christmas.
That's a good Christmas present. The text message about the lung cancer, not so good. Tate's memberships, thank you. That is very nice of you. Okay, let's see. Okay, and by the way, Tate had sent it a super chat saying, end of the horrible year gift subs for everyone. If I ever get a Blue Apron gift card, can I re-gift it to Emma instead? No, she's banned because she hasn't come on the show in a very long time. Okay,
we're unretiring her jersey.
Exactly. I wonder if she still has that. Anyway, with that said, Brett, are you ready? Is everyone ready for this? Okay.
Yes.
It's the end of the, It's the end of the week, and so it's time to take out the trash. Brett, who is your garbage person of the week?
My garbage person of the week is the CEO of Southwest Airlines. Here is his explanation for what went wrong and how they plan to fix it.
With our large fleet of airplanes and flight crews out of position in dozens of locations, and after days of trying to operate as much of our full schedule across the busy holiday weekend, we reached a decision point to significantly reduce our flying to catch up. We're focused on safely getting all of the pieces back into position to end this rolling struggle. The tools we use to recover from disruption serve us well 99% of the time, but clearly we need to double down on our already existing plans to upgrade systems for these extreme circumstances so that we never again face what's happening right now.
I love this. It's like, listen, it's wrong, by the way. Everything he's saying is wrong, even though he is like going out of his way to sound like a guy who's contrite. This is not an accurate portrayal from what I have understood with my wife walking in and telling me things that are happening in the aviation industry. But like, oh God, we really couldn't handle storms with our outdated technology because before this week, there were no storms.
There was no snow.
It's like, I hate to break it to, he's like, listen, in the rest of his videos, like we schedule around communities. Yeah, so does everyone. Goes and says like, what is the best way to maximize profit in this industry? Things that my wife told me today about freaking Southwest Airlines, the reason that they let you pick your own seat, do you know what it is, John?
So that it'll be a free for all? I don't know why.
Because it is a free for all, you get nervous about getting to the gate late. So you get there early so that you can board early and do everything faster in the boarding process so they can take off on time. They intentionally play on your neuroses about FOMO so that you will get there and line up like cattle at the Temple Grandin stockyard system.
Yeah, you'll get there faster, you'll get on the plane faster, but there will be utter chaos at every step of the way because everybody's competing for limited goods.
Yeah, and so wifey told me that there's also a letter from a Southwest pilot who was like, what is he talking about? We weren't where we were supposed to be. We were exactly where we were supposed to be. You guys just lost us.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you have to call and be like, hi, it's me, the plane. And I am on this runway, A-17 at Dallas Love Field. And then someone writes it down and gives it to a pigeon and sends it on its way through the storm.
It's a great system.
It's so
the storms
stupid.
which are new. Yeah,
the storms which
it's an
just started
disaster. But I'm gonna have to amend your garbage person. It should be Buttigieg. It's all his fault.
And
anyway.
Also, and the last thing is that CEO is apparently a new CEO who never did any on the ground work and is just a finance guy, which is the absolute worst situation. I really know gets under John's skin when it's someone who doesn't know how to do the job that is suddenly in charge.
I agree. My garbage person of the week has been all over the news this last week. I'm gonna give a tweet as the reason, I guess. Can we go to this? It is Andrew Tate this week. And I want to focus on this tweet. I wasn't here for when it first came out, but she burned him really good with the small d energy thing. And then he responds with the thank you for confirming via your email address that you have a small penis. The world was curious, and I do agree you should get a life. And I don't even care about the video, even if it was just that. That is, I would literally never go in public again if I sent out that tweet. That is, I don't want to live in a reality where someone can be that pathetic and needy and try hard and transparent and cringy. It's just too much. I mean, his whole thing is terrible. I try not to think about it because I think that it's pathetic that he would choose to live his life that way. It's even worse that there are people that'll make it profitable for him. Just everything about his, do you remember, like, Brett, do you remember the pickup artist thing of like 15 years ago?
Nagging?
He's just that, well, yeah, that too, but he's just that guy Style who wrote the game. He literally looks identical to him. He just resurrected Style, Style has moved on from Style. Style thinks Style was cringy, but this guy is still doing it. And he's convinced a bunch of people who, many of them actually do need help and do need role models, to believe that being this like cheap version of Hugh Hefner, like trying to impress a 19-year-old activist on Twitter and just desperately and making yourself look ridiculous is a life to aspire to. It's all just garbage. There's probably also a bunch of criminal stuff going on too that's truly reprehensible. But the stuff that he wants you to know about is so pathetic.
I know exactly how pathetic it is because I do the same thing to John sometimes, where he's obviously making one joke and then I intentionally pretend that I don't get it and that it's my joke.
Yeah.
And then John goes, "That was the joke I was making. That was the joke I was making." The difference is like the joke that Greta Thunberg landed her carbon footprint squarely up his balls. Like she hit it with footprint. Yeah. Anyways, she nailed it. And his decision he made was to not just pretend he didn't get the joke, but make an entire video pretending he didn't get the joke that obviously devastated him is precisely the pathetic garbagey thing about this guy.
100%. And the reason her attack was so perfect, and I'll end on this, is because everybody knows that it's 100% true, not the literal anatomy or whatever, but like he knows that he doesn't either have the cars or say he has the cars because he genuinely like. Why do you have two of the same Ferrari? Like you're gonna drive both? Doesn't even make any sense. He's desperately trying to get his potential marks to be impressed by him. All the people who love him, who hate Greta, they know that the reason they want the cars isn't just because they're genuinely interested in cars, where they desperately want to impress other people. There's so much desperation, and she just like drew the covers off of it, and they all have to pretend that that's not what this entire endeavor was about, and they can't do it, and so they hate it. Anyway, absolute garbage person of the week. But more importantly, it's the end of the year, so it's time to take out the trash. Okay, Brett, there's been a lot of garbage throughout this year. Who's your garbage person of 2022?
My garbage person of 2022 is Supreme Court Justice Sam Alito and the rest of the Supreme Court justices who voted to outlaw abortion, specifically the smarmy, stupid way that he wrote stuff like procuring an abortion is not a fundamental constitutional right because such a right has no basis in the Constitution's text or in the nation's history. Like, I hate to break it to you, jabroni, but like you already and every other Supreme Court justice who just tossed this out said that they would let precedent stand when they were interviewing for the job. You lied to us. And not only did you lie to us, you did it in a way that is roundly rejected by Americans at large. Like even Kansas, in the wake of getting rid of the Supreme Court of Roe versus Wade, Kansas, graphic 6, Kansas 2022 Kansas constitutional amendment, no right to abortion to election results, resoundingly 59% of beat red Kansans voted no. We're gonna reject your stupid new law. And it reveals so clearly that this is not the result of what America should be or what America even wants. It's the result of right-wing money going and getting true psychopaths into huge positions of power, despite how the country was explicitly designed. And these people pretending they're smart when they say, though, because the word abortion isn't in the Constitution, you don't have a right to an abortion. Then there should be no law. There should be no constitutional conclusions drawn about planes or cars or anything like that that wasn't specific, or automatic weapons that weren't around in 1789.
Exactly. No, it's why I think it fits for them to be garbage people, because it's not just about the incredible amount of damage that was done by the decision, but it's the garbagey way that they try to cover for it. I 100% agree. I think it makes sense on both cases, on both ways. Absolute garbage, especially for the effect. Okay, my garbage person of the year, I think you can probably predict. There are There were a lot of ones that came close or that I certainly thought about. Herschel Walker, not because he's the most damaging. Again, this is garbage person. Everything about his campaign was utter garbage. Vladimir Putin, obviously really bad. I tend to not go for the bad ones though, more garbagey, but he was certainly the worst person maybe of the year. Kanye for his whole thing, I think just absolutely terrible. But in the end, I decided not to be unpredictable or whatever. I had to go with my gut, and my gut said that the garbagiest person of 2022 has, of course, been this guy. Hanging out with somebody, I'm not sure who. You can look into it. Anyway, it's Elon Musk. And why wouldn't it be? Everything about him this year has been terrible. Not just the things that he's done and the things that he's said, but that he has forced us all to have to think about him fairly constantly. And with him owning Twitter, that's gonna last for a while. The decision to bring back so many terrible people who had finally at long last lost their social media platforms. We now have to deal with them again. And then there's the stuff outside of Twitter, by the way. There's the Neuralink studies, which are just terrible. There's the fact that he's helping to destroy Tesla, which can potentially do some good in the world by normalizing EVs. He's potentially harming the ability of Tesla to do that. There's the little bits of news just recently. Like if I could jump to graphic 2, this is just from like the last day that he cut the janitors at Twitter. So now the employees have to bring in their own toilet paper. He's the richest man in the world. Can't afford the janitors. It's just utter garbage. It's literally garbage on the floor garbage. There's the attacking Dr. Fauci saying he's not a scientist because he doesn't like him or whatever to get likes on Twitter. There's utter garbage, like spreading these old, stupid, terrible memes. That one literally has Twitter on one of the legs of the image. He either doesn't see it or doesn't care. It's him, the richest person in the world, who has so much power and influence, so much access, spending all of his time just trying to get right-wing grifters to like reply to him on Twitter or whatever. It's like what you have to evaluate garbage based on what the potential is, and nobody right now, maybe in the world, has more potential to do good than Elon Musk. And he chooses every single day. He wakes up and chooses, no, I'm not gonna do anything good. In fact, I'm going to be the worst. So he's my garbage person of 2022.
Great choice, John. I agree. Elon was gonna be my garbage person of the year, but I saw that you already had it.
You could have done the same
specifically for the toilet paper thing. Yeah. So dumb. Also, they put like a LGBTQ flag with a star and crescent on it for Islam. Like, what's happening?
No, don't you see? They're brainwashed, these LGBTQ people. He has to throw Black Lives Matter on there. Literally everyone who actually cares about something is all brainwashed. Not him, because he doesn't have beliefs. He's not ideological, except that of course he is and has a party that he likes and politicians he likes and right-wing pundits he likes. But again, you're all brainwashed. It's just garbage.
Smooth.
By the way,
smooth, sanded down brains are fantastic.
I liked your point on last night's special where you said that it should be the supporters of him that are the garbage people of the year. I would like to lump them into this, but I had to.
It's very like Fight Clubby. It's like you got here and now you're gonna live in my house and scrub my toilet.
That's what. That's
how he treats all his stands, and they say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
Anyway, that's who we voted for. But 58,000 of you voted for the community garbage person of 2022. And here are your top 5. Coming in at number 5 with 2% of the vote, Ron DeSantis for his continued attacks on the LGBTQ community with the Don't Say Gay bill. Ron DeSantis is gonna have to do better in his next election if he's gonna have a chance. He didn't do too great there. Coming in number 4 with 3% of the vote is Elon Musk for turning Twitter into a hateful dumpster fire. The community did not agree with me this year. Coming in at number 3 at 8% of the vote is Marjorie Greene for endless encouragement of right-wing terrorism. She tried her best, but 8% is all she got. Coming in number 2 at 28% of the vote is the SCOTUS for making US the Handmaid's Tale by overturning Roe v. Wade. So Brett, they almost agreed with you, community garbage person, but no, it was a runaway win. 60% of the vote for Vladimir Putin for starting a deadly war on Ukraine. And I will grant you that is the worst thing that was done. And look, he's also garbage, so I guess I can't be too mad about it. Thank you to the 58,000 of you who voted. And yeah, thank you everyone. By the way, we're dark until Tuesday. Thank you everyone who watched today, this week, and throughout the year. We got big plans for next year, so we hope to see you then. For now, though, Brett, thank you for joining me.
Fantastic to be here. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Indisputable's up next. I'll be leading the first hour of the Young Turks coming up in not too long. But for now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and I'll see you in 2023.